Alright guys, this is unfortunately not the video that I thought I'd be bringing to you this week, but we have a little Jimny update, unfortunately. So this morning I made my way out to Beachport and I had intended to do the Beachport to Robe track. However, I didn't even make it that far, so I did hit a kangaroo, unfortunately, about an hour outside of Beachport. So I did have to pull into just one of the local towns, and luckily there was a mechanic there that was able to have a look over my car, because I was genuinely really worried that I wouldn't be able to drive it just with the damage. There was a fair bit of scrubbing that I could hear, so they checked it all out. They did zip tie my bumper back in place and they gave me the okay to drive. So when it all happened, obviously it was a lot to take in. I did, obviously being the independent woman that I am, I called my mum and I cried because that's what we do. But yeah, once I sort of got past like the shock of it and I just accepted it for what it is, I just got shit into gear. So from here, I have decided to actually go back to Brisbane to do the repairs. Now, I had already planned to go back to Brisbane, so I'm just doing it a little bit earlier because with parts, they can take, months sometimes, and I just didn't want to be stuck in Adelaide, waiting for the repairs to be done. So I'm heading back to Brisbane literally tomorrow, and yeah, we'll see where we go from there. Like, no doubt I'm going to be making the most of being back in Brisbane, and I'll be doing lots of adventuring around there, but I will be taking you guys along with me. And yeah, hopefully it's a very quick turnaround because I need to be over in WA at the end of June for a freediving retreat. So hopefully all things go to plan and I can still make it over there in time, because I plan on going through Northern Territory as well. But let's start packing and we will make our way back over to Queensland. Good morning guys. So yesterday I managed to smash out a solid 10 hours of driving. I had every intention of checking in with you guys, but there wasn't really much to see along the way anyway. So I was like, let's just get some driving done, get a big chunk of it out of the way. So I think I got about 900 kilometers yesterday. I got from Adelaide right through to Wagga Wagga. So right now I'm set up at this beautiful free camp, just maybe like 10-15 minutes outside of the town. And from here, I plan on heading along the coast. So I am potentially going like the longer way, which I'm completely okay with. I just prefer to drive along like the coast up to Brisbane or Queensland. So yeah, see what we can get done today. But I think I'm going to still split it over another like 2 days of driving. So like today and then tomorrow as well. So one thing I thought I could do with this video, because this video is completely different to what I would normally be getting up to, but I think that if I'm sharing my travels, I have to share the good and the bad. So yeah, this may not be my usual adventure video, but at the end of the day, it's happened. I fucked up to some degree. So I'm just going to own that and share that with all of you guys, but might as well make it a bit of a bonus and answer some questions that I keep seeing pop up, especially in the comments and of course in my DMs as well. First question is about my Jimny. So someone, I think it was about maybe a week ago, asked me if I like my Jimny, if I think it's a good car. Short answer is yes, I freaking love my Jimny. Did I buy it with the intention to travel Australia? No, not even close. Like, it just kind of happened. Like, me traveling Australia was something on my bucket list, for ages. It just kind of came about and I just happened to buy this Jimny beforehand. So I just kind of went with it. But the downsides of this Jimny, which I am experiencing even now. So yesterday I drove, 10 hours. I was pretty much stopping every 2 hours to fill up on fuel because the actual range of fuel on this tank is like stupidly low. It's like, I think yesterday I was like barely getting like 320 kilometers out of a tank before I was getting my fuel light come on, and that does cause a lot of stress when you are looking at long distance driving. Now, I am aware that there are solutions such as like the long range fuel tank that you can put into the Jimnys, and you can also carry jerry cans as well. But the jerry cans are the second thing that I dislike about this car. Not the jerry cans themselves, but where you carry the jerry cans is a bit of an issue because the roof load on the Jimnys is 30 kilos. So right now I have got, the basics on my roof. Like, I'm talking like an ARB base rack that's like 18 kilos. I then have my awning and my shower tent on either side. I have my 30 litre, I think it is, water tank, and then I carry my swag. So look, if you do some math, I'm already over that roof load, so that does put me in a bit of a predicament, and that's the second thing I don't like about the Jimny. So I think for me, if you are looking to buy a Jimny, just consider those two factors. And look, would I consider it for traveling Australia? No, absolutely not. It is quite small. I'm making do. And look, outside of that though, it's an incredible car. Like, it does so well on the sand, it does so well off-road, it does really well on the highway. I feel like it gets a lot of slack for highway driving, but I keep up with every other car. Like, yeah, sure, it might rev a little bit higher sometimes, but look, overall, I love my Jimny. The community is incredible as well. So yeah, short answer, love it, but just some things you have to consider when you are buying it, whether or not it is a deal breaker for you. All right, so question number 2, why did I start traveling? So I did kind of brush over this briefly in one of my very first videos, but look, don't recommend going back and watching those. I feel like I have grown so much since then, but I effectively did, let's call it a trial trip. So not last year, I feel like the years are flying by, it was like the year before. I actually did a solo trip up to North Queensland. I did have a different car at the time, so I had a rooftop tent and I did the whole trip solo in my car, rooftop tent. Now, I loved it. I had been following along with a lot of other solo female travelers, and it was so much fun to be able to watch their journey, and I just wanted to experience that for myself. So I decided to, yeah, give it a go. Absolutely loved it. I then got back to Brisbane, and my intention was to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this full time. Didn't happen that way, unfortunately. Like, things just did not fall into place. So it did go on the back burner a little bit. And then at that point, that's when I bought my Jimny, because I just figured, not traveling, I'll just settle for something like a bit more local adventure. And then within potentially like 5 months of me buying my Jimny, I got the all clear to do travel with my job, which was an incredible opportunity that I was not going to say no to. And yeah, I just took it and ran, and then I've been traveling ever since. So I don't know what it looks like long term. I think the fact that I have sort of made my way Queensland, New South Wales, Vic, Tassie, SA, I don't have any intention of slowing that down. So even though right now I'm backtracking to Brisbane, this for me is a long-term goal. Like, I don't plan on stopping traveling anytime soon. So I don't mind if my lap of Australia turns into a bit of a zigzag of Australia. Like, I'm completely okay with that. So for me to head back to Brisbane now is not a failure by any means. It's just really a reroute, let's call it. But my goal long term would be to actually travel like properly full time on the road. Like right now, for those who don't know, I do work full time. So I kind of establish myself in the state, and then I kind of just do like weekend trips from there. So long-term goal, watch this space. But for now, I'm going to finish my coffee, I'm going to pack up my camp, and then I'm going to see where we can get to today. But I'll answer some questions each time I stop today. All right, I lied to you guys. I did not stop and film anything today, because I think when I just get this idea in my head of like, this is where I want to get to, that's my focal point. So yeah, just did not feel the need to stop and film any questions along the way. But either way, I am at my next camp. So I have effectively made it all the way out to Taree in New South Wales. So it's effectively closer to, I think, Coffs Harbour. But I'm staying at this absolutely beautiful hip camp, which I just literally text them. They let me book in very last minute, but it's such a beautiful spot. $20 for the night, and I'm thinking it's going to be a really nice sunset, although it does look like it might be raining. I think I can definitely tell that I've left South Australia. But next question before I start cooking some dinner was, someone asked me what gear I use. So particularly for myself, and this might not be like the most professional setup, but I do use my drone. So I've got the Mavic 3 Pro, I think. It's got the follow me function, so I just use that with the controller. And then I have got my GoPro. So GoPro Hero 11. I do have the mod pack on it just for when I do want to use all of the connections, such as like the microphone and all the rest. And then what I'm filming on right now is just my phone. So it's just an iPhone 12. But that is literally the extent of what I use to film on. Pretty much everything else I carry around is literally just accessories to be able to mount my GoPro to pretty much anything, to make it super easy to film pretty much anywhere. But I'm going to cook up some dinner, and then I plan on having an early night, but I will answer a couple more questions before then. Now this next one's a bit more of a statement than a question, but I freaking love cooking, especially if I'm cooking for someone else. But like camp cooking, like when you've got a beautiful sunset in the background, it's just magical. It's one of my absolute favorite hobbies to do. But I will show you guys what I'm cooking. I'm literally in love with like a bit of like a stir fry kind of like mix at the moment. So I'm literally just pan frying my sweet potato, and then I toss it with some chicken and some other veg as well. All right, so our next question is all things money. So I do get a lot of people asking me how I earn money, how I travel, all the likes. And I have already mentioned, like, I work full time. This is not to say that that is the way that you have to travel. Like, I know of so many people that have other alternate income sources and they make traveling work one way or another. So I'm very fortunate in my role that I can do it remote. Yes, there's still restrictions, like the fact that I do have to situate myself out of a town, the commute back and forth from locations, that adds up when it comes to cost. And of course I'm paying for rent as well. So I don't know if the way I'm doing it is the best way, but it's working for me now. My long-term goal to actually be able to travel full time will potentially need a little bit of adjustment there. So my other sources of income at the moment is that I am a Pilates instructor. The freelance work of that is very sporadic and it's not always as consistent as I would like. And then I guess I can officially say that I am monetized on YouTube as well, because as of like maybe a month or two, I became monetized. So that is officially an income source as well. So yeah, that's all of my income sources. I probably should do a bit more of a detailed video about my outgoings, but I'm really bad at keeping track of that stuff. Like, I have a general budget, but my travel isn't the same as most people, so I don't know if mine would be as much of something to refer to as much as someone just doing like a proper ongoing lap, but fuel is definitely one of the biggest expenses that I have. All right, we'll go one more question before the sun sets, and that is, where am I off to next? So originally the plan was to obviously finish off South Australia, potentially get to WA and then fly back to Brisbane for my friend's wedding. Now that the plan has changed, because I'm a very adaptive person, thankfully, because, you know, when things happen, which they will, there's always a plan B, there's a plan C. So once I get to Brisbane, I will be there for the next 2 months, and then hopefully in June, as long as my car is fixed in time, I am going to make my way through the Northern Territory. So I'll spend maybe 2-3 weeks in the Northern Territory, and then I'm going to make my way over to WA for the freediving retreat that I've got booked in with Deep Sensations, which I'm so excited for. We'll be swimming with the whales over there. And yeah, then my plan is just to get through WA. I have a feeling I'm going to spend a lot of time in WA just because, yeah, it's my vibe, absolutely. And then who knows, maybe I will loop back around and do the rest of South Australia since I missed out. So let's just say that's the plan for now, but that could change a couple more times, who knows, and hopefully by then I will be full-time traveling on the road as well. Alright guys, I have officially made it to Queensland, the Sunshine State, and it is raining. I am actually really disappointed by this, but look, I should have been warned. My friends and family did tell me that the weather has been like below average, but that's fine. Hopefully now that I'm back, it will just like magically turn around and it'll just be like the most perfect weather for the next 2 months. But either way, from here, I've got another hour of driving to get home, and then yeah, my car goes in for tomorrow. So whilst I stop here and have my coffee, I will answer a couple more questions. So the next one that I always see come through is, how old am I and where am I from? So Queensland is home. I have spent most of my life in Queensland. I was technically born in New South Wales, but yes, Australia is home. That's where I'm from. And as far as how old I am 33. One question that I really love when people ask is if they are wanting to start traveling, like, where do they start? And I think because of personal experience, doing my trip completely different to most people that I know who are doing it, I think the best advice that I can do is that if you were in a position to travel, I'm not saying that everyone is, and I'm not saying that this advice is going to be relevant to everybody, because you have to have the ability to travel first. Whether you have decided you are going to utilize savings to fund your travels, or if you are going to work to some capacity, like, that's your journey. So figure that part out first. There's no right or wrong, so just you do you. Second of all, stop trying to get the most perfect setup. I think that when you start traveling, you start to learn what you need and what you don't need. The amount of crap that I've offloaded since I started my travels, and like even now, I still have so much stuff, or maybe it just seems like a lot because my Jimny is so small, but just start with what you have and then decide what you do and don't need. And the same with the setup. Like, there's no perfect car, there's no perfect way to travel, there's no perfect direction, there's no perfect anything. Just like enjoy it, take it all in. So that's probably like blasé advice, but like, If you have the capacity to travel, do it. If you do not have the capacity to travel, look in your local area. The funniest thing that I've noticed, like going from state to state, every single person that I've lived with, and I've been lucky enough to live with so many people, is that effectively every single person who's lived in that state is like, oh, you've seen so many other things that I haven't even seen. It's like we take advantage of where we live. So if you don't have the capacity to travel Australia right now, travel your local area, go on do solo trips. But I think if you are going to set out on a huge trip, do a tester first. Like, as I mentioned, I did North Queensland 2-3 weeks all by myself and I loved it. You may find in that time that you're like, this is not the lifestyle for me, because there are creature comforts you have to give up. So moral of the story is just like, get out there, give it a try, do what's within your capacity and just enjoy it. Honestly, it's one of the most enjoyable and like rewarding experiences you can do. But yes, you have to start first. But for now, I'm going to finish off the rest of this drive, get all the way to Brisbane, and then I won't wrap up the video just yet. I will take my car in to get it checked over tomorrow. I know I'm not going to have an update for you guys because it's literally going to come down to parts, but I might just wrap it up then, just based on what they say. I'll give you guys a little bit of an update and then I will see you guys all from there. In hindsight, I don't know why I told you guys I would give you an update, because that would insinuate that I listened to a single word that came out of that guy's mouth, because I did not. I don't know what he was talking about. And he was rattling off a long list of things that need to be replaced, which only made me more anxious. But either way, it's fine. We're going to get them all repaired. He did mention some stuff around like the radiator. I do have to keep an eye on my temperature within my car, but she's fine. She's drivable. That's all that matters. But yes, I feel like I am an independent woman until it comes to my car. When it comes to cars, I'm like on a need to know basis. Like I can change my tire, but that's probably the extent of it. But either way, guys, thank you guys so much for following along on this video. It has been a journey for me at least, and I will see you guys all in the next one. But I might do a little bit more of a Q&A in the coming weeks. So if you aren't already following me on socials, jump over to Instagram, so Sarah Rose Foster, and yeah, keep an eye on there because I might do a bit more of an in-depth Q&A with a bit more notice so you guys can really fire away some questions that you might be wanting to know a little bit more about. But until next week, guys, I will see you then.